Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Shed of Dread. And before we get into this video, if you want to hit the subscribe button, you can feel free to do so. It'll be much appreciated. You don't have to, but you know, it's there. Right then, let's talk about the fall of France, because that's exactly what is happening currently in France at the moment. Paris is being destroyed, and it's not a protest about the killing of a 17-year-old boy by so-called racist policemen, when in reality, why was he driving at 17? And as can be quite clearly shown on this one here, there's Nahil with his posing with his friends, yeah, with the old gun symbols and that. Yeah, look at them all. So he wasn't the amazing child. Did he deserve to get shot? I don't know, because I really don't know the ins and outs of that, and I don't think we ever will, because the media's already portraying it as, you know, a racist killing with no evidence whatsoever. They have no idea what went on that particular stop. So, in any case, so we had that, and it was terrible. And then out comes his mother, yeah, who seems to be cheering and jumping up and down, as it says here, you know, calling for violence and riots. She was on top of a truck, and this is how she was mourning the loss of her son. This shows that this isn't a protest. This is a kind of George Floyd thing. And it's not a protest, because they are literally burning the place to the ground. We've seen plenty of videos. They've robbed gun stores. They're now armed to the teeth. There are videos of them walking around with belt-fed machine guns. They are destroying their community around them. How you protest the death of somebody by burning down your local supermarket, your libraries, looting every shop. This is not protest. This is riots. This is civil war. Because they're now even spilling over into Belgium and attacking Belgium cities and police who've done literally nothing towards them. Traditionally, as it is always spoken, you know, the English don't like the French. But in this case, I feel sorry. There's been an incident, of course, where a Frenchman tried to stop them stealing his car, so they chopped his hands off. It's a disgrace. An absolute, utter disgrace. France is burning. Absolutely burning. And what does Macron do? Well, Macron can't do much because he's a European lapdog, and he's just look at me, I'm caring. But also the fact that he's got no money, because like the rest of us, we've been sending money to fight a war in Ukraine that doesn't seem to be spent anywhere. But here we go. Video games and TikTok are to blame for French riots, says the president. Country has seen several days of unrest as the police fatally shot a 17-year-old delivery driver in Paris. Well, no, he was running away from a roadblock. But we'll never get any idea what that is. The French President Emmanuel I'm an idiot Macron has a few theories to why the riots have spread across France in the wake of the fatal police shooting of a 17-year-old delivery driver who failed to stop at a police checkpoint. But in any case, so we don't know what happened. TikTok, Snapchat, video games mostly. Yeah. Not the thousands and thousands of Algerian immigrants who hate the French and were just waiting for an excuse to do this. Oh, no. It's TikTok, Snapchat, and video games. The teenager was shot on Tuesday, June 27th in the Paris suburb of Nanterre during a traffic check, according to Associated Press. Nahil, who has been identified by his first name, died at the scene, and his untimely death exacerbated rising tensions between the French police and the residents of the Nanterre neighbourhood and beyond. Yeah, because they won't do as they're told. They won't follow the letters of the law because it's their own ghetto. But of course, let's carry on. Video shared online over the past few days shows riots showing police firing tear gas at crowds and protesters, lighting cars on fire, burning garbage and looting and robbing, of course. Oh, and don't forget they set libraries on fire and anything else. As of Friday, that was this Friday just gone, 875 arrests have been made within the last few days. A third of the arrests for one of the days was reportedly young people. Yeah, well, it's always young people. With Macron refusing to declare a state of emergency because he can't afford to actually run a state of emergency, and also it can't be seen to be too hard because he's all a caring, sharing kind of guy. Idiot. Instead, sending 40,000 more officers into the street. Macron said social media networks are playing a considerable role in the fueling the ongoing unrest. Well, yeah, they are, and that's why I think it's been announced today that he's going to shut down the social media internet on Monday. But anyways, he pointed to both Snapchat and TikTok as examples. He laid out plans to work with tech companies to remove the most sensitive content shared, and that he expects a spiritual responsibility from these platforms. Best of luck with that. And the French police are reportedly looking into the identity of those who are rallying cries continue to protest on social media. Well, violence has devastating consequences. Yeah, and we have a zero tolerance for content that promotes or incites or violent behaviour as any part of Snapchat. A Snapchat person told AP. We are proactively moderating this type of contact, and when we find it, we remove it. And we take appropriate action. And then they just set up another account and carry on. Idiots. We do allow content that is factually reporting on the situation. No, you don't, because a lot of it's a load of rubbish. Macron doesn't just think it's those dang phone apps that are to blame for the ongoing protests. No, not the thousands of angry Algerian immigrants that shouldn't be there. He's also turns his attention to video games. Well, of course, it's video games. We sometimes have the feeling that some of them living out in the streets, the video games that have intoxicated them. Bollocks. This bullshit has been said over and over and over again with zero proof and zero evidence, he said. It is not, of course, police brutality, and an increased housing and income inequality, or the fact that the race policy in France is to be colourblind. No, he was out. What a load. Who the fuck's writing this shit? Police, of course, it's always the police brutality. Housing and well, that's what happens when you all rush into a town with an open border, not knowing who's coming in. And the race is just be colourblind. Bollocks. Nahil was Arab. He also refused to stop. But you're never going to report that. Protests centred around the police brutality. No, it wasn't. I'm not new in France. Citizens protested in 2020 at the plea of George Floyd en masse. And in 2005, riots broke out of two young women running away from the police. Well, in the Clichy-sur-Bois commune in Paris during the 2005 riots, the former Prime Minister Dominique de Villepin was declared a state of emergency. Guess what? Slam that down. Using video games as a scapegoat for violence is not new. They've been lampooned as the cause of mass shootings in 1999 by the Columbine massacres, and Fox News trotted out the excuse for the 2022 Buffalo, New York massacre, mass shootings. It's all bollocks. Yeah, but scientific research does not point to any connection between the two. Well, that's because it's true. There isn't. Millions of people play violent video games and they don't go out killing anyone. A psychologist, Dr. Rachel Cowart, told Kawatu in June 2022, we've been studying the connection for 20 years and there's been no consistent findings that would suggest that at all that they are directly linked, and whereas we have a whole wealth of research linking like pure delinquency, low frustration tolerance and previous exposure to violence, and all these things are well established in research as predictors of violent behaviour, but we ignore that because we're confusing societal problems. Well, yeah. But you can't do that. France has an immigration problem. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with that. You'll get left-wing people going, nah. But the simple truth of the matter is you just have to look where the problem is. The problem is in areas which are full of immigrants, whether they're there legally or not. The simple truth of the matter is people are getting killed. The actual native French people are being dragged out of their houses so they can burn them. They're robbing their cars. They're robbing them. They're assaulting them in the street. While Macron doesn't do anything because he has to be on the side of the immigrant. This is, the refugees welcome here. This is what happens. You see, now people call you right wing if you need a border control. No, it's just right to know what you're letting in. And the thing is, it's worrying because France is just over the water. And those that don't stay in France to cause trouble get on their dinghies and come over here. And this is why people are worried. This is why people want to say stuff. Now, there are many things that are being on social media you've got to be careful of. There was a clip where they're pushing parked cars out of a multi-storey car park. That's fake, guys. If you just take the time to look at it, it's clearly fake. Both sides are going to use this for their own propaganda. The simple truth of the matter is people are dying France is being burnt to the ground, and everybody on the left and anyone who's scared to say anything will blame absolutely anything other than the truth. See here, it's TikTok, it's Snapchat, it's video games, it's parents not being responsible, it's anything other than the fact that this is what happens. Now, all these people have been out screaming and shouting and giving it loads about this, about the killing of a 17-year-old, but these were the same people who said shit all when children were being, little babies were being stabbed in a play park, in their prams, by a failed immigrant. Not a word. Not a single word. And then what we can come to is the fact that it's been discovered that Netflix knew this was going to happen. There you go. Nearly a year ago, I'll bring it all up. There you go. Nearly a year ago, Netflix released an initial trailer for a film called Athena about a future civil war that commences when African and Arab immigrants begin rioting after an Algerian youth is shot dead at the hands of the police. There you go. And what does that say? Unbelievable. There you go. So, Netflix knew it was coming. They always tell you first. But this is building up. Now, the problem is, obviously, this could happen here in the United Kingdom. Because it's just, and no matter what all the media say, oh, you know, it's women, it's not women and children. It's all men of fighting age coming over. Of which we're rewarding them for coming over and having that extreme journey by giving them hotel rooms and feeding them and giving them money and free mobile phones to use while they're here. It's horrible what's happening in France. It's terrible what's happening in France. They've got an ineffective leader who's too left-wing, too limp-wristed, too refugees are welcome. And if they're not welcome, we can fuck them off over to the UK. Where, of course, we've got a government that's trying to stop it, although they've actually done nothing. But all the lefties are going, no, refugees are welcome. Like we've had the ability to move them to Rwanda removed because it's inhumane and unjust, and they're all celebrating. So every rape, every killing, every theft is on your hands, but you don't care. I mean, we had Hugh Whittlestall going, oh, I'm so glad that it's been repealed. It's wrong. Well, you own a massive pile of land, mate. Build some tents and houses and have hundreds of immigrants live next to you. But, of course, you don't. Like everybody else who pontificates, it doesn't affect you. Try living in a city like I do, where there are hotels full of immigrants and our crime rate has gone up. And our strain on our NHS and our dental services is immense, where our children are struggling to be educated at school because all the resources go to those who can't speak English, those few children that do turn up. Where once great hotels are shitholes. But of course, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect anyone. Anyone who goes, refugees are welcome, it doesn't affect you. Those rich people live behind their little walls, beyond their gated communities, and go, well, they're welcome. Well, you have one. No, you're okay. Any case, that's me. I'm done. Social media's up above. And before I finish it, I stand with France until it gets sorted, but sadly I'm worried that it won't because no one's got the courage to do so. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and share. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm done, and all you need to do is just make your way to the door over there and get out of the shed.